What's going on, Hobby Lobby? It's your boy Javier with the Javier Show. Make sure you say it twice. All right, y'all. So my show is all about agreements, disagreements, but mostly it's about freedom of expression, being able to put your ideas out there and allow feedback and self-correct and see where you're right, see where you're wrong. But I'm all about good conversations, and people sometimes they don't always agree with everything that I say. And when they don't agree with me, I try my best to understand their position and see where I could be wrong. And we can try to hash it out and see if it's a lesson to be learned on either side. And that's what I'm gonna do today. I got somebody in the backstage, Mr. Luke, and I made a video concerning Joe Rogan about saying the N-word. And Mr. Luke has been somebody who's followed me for a good bit of time now, and he disagreed with my take on the whole Joe Rogan saying the N-word. And I invited him to come on and we're going to have this conversation because I think it's very important that we see both sides and try to come to a reasonable conclusion and do it in a respectful manner. So I'm going to bring Mr. Luke on. I'm going to let you hear what he has to say, introduce himself, and we're going to have this conversation like we always do. So stay tuned.
1 in a million to 1 billion. Too hot to be in the kitchen. I'll end up melting the ceiling.
What's going on, Mr. Luke? How you doing today, sir?
Yo, what it do? I'm doing good, brother. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good. I can't complain. Life is all right.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, it is. Man, let's get to it, man. Let's get to it, man. I don't want to waste no time. I just want to get right to it. Now, look, my name is Mr. Luke. I'm not a YouTuber. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a guy who come across some interesting topics from Mr. Javier. So I wanted to join the Hobby Lobby and just have a conversation about some stuff. So that was about it. I left some pretty interesting comments, and they got some rather pleasant feedback from you. So I appreciate that. So here I am. Like I say, my name is Mr. Luke. So talk to me, man. What we got?
Yeah, and I appreciate it, man. I love people who, whether they agree with everything or disagree with mostly everything, who can still hear out people no matter what the ideas are. And you made your comments, and I did my best to respond to you, and we had an exchange back and forth. And I was like, yeah, I would like you to come on and we can discuss this. Now, the Joe Rogan situation, and that was the video when I said the N-word is not copyrighted, and I basically said that it was pretty much okay for Joe Rogan to say the N-word, especially if other people are using it, especially Black people. What was your main objection? Like, what was it that you disagreed with that caused you to make your comment?
So let me just say this. First of all, my thing about that whole thing is not necessarily about the N-word. So I'll just leave that there from the beginning. It was the video itself. You know what I'm saying? You're a Black man, you're an intelligent Black man. It broke my heart to watch you as another Black man with a big beard on his face, pleading to Joe Rogan, pleading to Joe Rogan, if you see this, you might not see this, but if you do not back down. Do not let them silence you. Nobody has copyright on the end. I'm like, bro, what are you doing, my guy? And I don't know you at the time, right? I'm just watching like, bro, what? You know what I'm saying? I can't say what I was really saying, but I was like, bro, what are you doing, my guy? What are you doing? Why are you telling? Joe Rogan, I think one of the first comments that I left was Joe Rogan has enough support from white people that he doesn't need a Black man on here begging him to not back down from the left and blah blah. Come on, man. It was so atrocious to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and don't get me wrong, like a couple of weeks have passed, so I'm not still kind of where I was. I was fired up, and had you invited me on that day, I was gonna light you up. Not in a disrespectful way. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not disrespectful, you know what I'm saying? But I was definitely looking forward to lighting you up because, bro, I don't know how to say this without it sounding as bad as it's gonna sound. I don't typically like conservative people. You know what I'm saying? People who identify as conservatives. I've tried to in the past, but I have my reasons why I don't typically like conservatives.
Let's not get there yet.
Yeah.
I want to hear why that is, but also I want to focus on what I said with the Joe Rogan situation, and we can see if we have an understanding. I get that you were fired up because I was like, I was defending Joe Rogan, saying, "Do not back down, stand up to these people, do not apologize," right? And it's the same thing I would have done if it was anybody else. If it was a black content creator who said the word cracker, for example, or he said something homophobic, or he said something like the F word towards gay people or something like that, I would have given that person the same advice. It's not about whether Joe Rogan is right or wrong. It's about people's freedom to say what it is that they want to say without people who really, honestly, don't support this man from the get-go. They don't watch his show on a regular basis. These are people who personally, because you realize that the N-word video didn't come out of Joe Rogan until after they was upset with him about the whole COVID. I don't know how familiar you are with the whole Joe Rogan controversy, but somebody went and tried to find those videos of him and strung them together and tried to take him out. And it's the same thing I would say to any content creator. There are going to be things I say on my show that people are not going to like. Like, there are Christians, I criticize Christianity, I criticize religion in entirety. There are liberals probably out there who don't want me to be able to speak. All I'm asking is give me the chance to speak. And if people want to hear what I have to say, they should be free to do so. If you don't want to support me, if you don't want to watch my YouTube channel, do that. But stop trying to stop other people from hearing things that they want to hear. Is there anything fundamentally wrong with me standing up for people's freedom of speech and people's ability to hear them?
I don't think that there's anything fundamentally wrong with you standing up for people's freedom of speech, but I don't think that Joe Rogan's freedom of speech was on the line. I don't think that. So when I hear you say in the video, don't let them do this, don't let them do, who is them and what is the goal? Because to my recollection, I didn't see anybody actually trying to quote unquote cancel Joe Rogan. I didn't see anybody asking for Joe Rogan to be fired or taken off the air, because in my opinion, that N-word controversy really wasn't a racist thing. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't calling anyone the name. He was just using the word. So, and I think that a lot of people got triggered just hearing a white person say the word so many times. And I know that that video was a long span of time where he was using it in different contexts, but just to hear a white man say the word over and over again, it triggered people.
What do you think their intentions was? The people who went and found the person, or the people who went and found that video and took all of those clips?
I couldn't answer that. I could come up with some. I can come up. What's the word when you come up with thoughts or
speculation or something?
Yeah, I can speculate all day, but I don't know. You don't know. You could speculate, but I don't want to. The thing I don't like for people to do is make it a fact. Like you say, well, they were trying to cancel him, and that be a fact. That's not true. We don't know that. It could be true.
Yeah, but let's look at it like this. In a scientific perspective, we do statistical analysis all the time. And what we're doing is we're looking for patterns and we're looking for trends. A person who goes into Las Vegas, I don't know if you ever been to Las Vegas, if you ever gambled or anything of that sort.
Yeah, I went last Halloween for the first time.
Yeah, all right. So if you ever played the lottery or anything like that, the odds of you winning is very low in hitting the lottery. But yet, many people line up every day to go play the lottery. Now, I could tell you, hey, don't play the lottery because it's probably guaranteed that you're going to lose. The statistics are not in your favor.
Right.
But you could be that one person who wins.
Absolutely.
But am I wrong for telling somebody statistically, this seems like to be the case that you're not going to win? Would I be wrong for saying that?
You're not wrong for saying that. But again, the key word is this seems, right? When you say seems, that takes away the fact. That just leaves it as, it's still open. When you present something as fact, and a lot of people receive it as fact, they don't receive the seemed. All they hear is that you're not going to win. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the thing about conservatives, man. I get hung up on words.
Hold on. Let's not go.
Nah, man. Hey, bro. I definitely want to dive. I definitely want to dive into it. But I'm gonna stay on topic, though. I'm gonna stay on topic.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Yeah, because I'm saying that if you say that the people who strung, or the person who strung together, somebody did it, strung together all of the incidents of Joe Rogan saying the N-word, if it's not that they were trying to aim at him and take him out, then you would have to posit what are the other alternatives. if we were trying to figure out why the earth spins the way that it does, we would posit theories and we would test those theories. If I said they were trying to take Joe Rogan out, if you have an alternative theory to mine, I would love to hear it. What else could they have possibly been trying to do by
No,
doing
no,
what
no.
they did?
Listen, when you position me in that way, it makes me, I'm in a weak position because the first thing somebody's going to say is, oh, they were trying to take him out. Probably. I'm not saying that they weren't. It looks that way that they were trying to, if not necessarily take him out, but at least hurt his brand, right?
Yeah.
That I can agree with you 100% on that, because there'll be no other way. There'll be no other reason for somebody to string that many N-words together and put the video out. So I'm not saying that wasn't the goal. I'm just saying I didn't hear an onslaught or on cry of so many people saying, you know, we need to cancel Joe Rogan, as I did hear people saying, you can't cancel Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is not cancelable.
No.
I've heard that a lot of times, but I've never really heard anybody say we need to cancel Joe Rogan. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, Neil Young is a Spotify. He was on Spotify. Neil Young is a very famous musician and artist,
Right.
and he said that I can't be on Spotify. It's either me or Joe Rogan. You either have to get rid of Joe Rogan or I'm gonna take my stuff off.
He pulled this stuff off.
Yeah, and he wasn't the only one. There were other people who started calling for the same thing on Spotify. Those people were trying to get Joe Rogan kicked off of Spotify. They were trying to cancel him.
But they canceled themselves though, right?
Because they couldn't cancel him. So it's not a like a conspiracy theory. We have
okay. So all right, let's just say Neil Young. Neil Young is the person that tried to get Joe Rogan canceled. Mm-hmm. So you made your video in response to Neil Young and maybe a couple more artists then?
Yes. The people who were calling for him to be taken off of Spotify, not people who were upset with him or wanted a few episodes taken down. I'm talking about the people who were saying you cannot have Joe Rogan on this platform. Those are the people that I was.
But to my knowledge, I think that those people were more on the COVID misinformation train than they were the quote unquote N-word controversy train, right? Is that true or what?
That is true. But what's weird is the N-word stuff didn't come out until after the COVID controversy. So it's only natural to say Joe Rogan has been doing this for 10, 20 years. Nobody ever did this, but it's only after these people were calling for him to be canceled that somebody said, okay, this is not working. We need something more. And that's why it looked orchestrated. It looks as if, oh, this might be the thing that breaks the camel back, if that makes sense. This might be the icing on the cake. If that won't get him canceled, then maybe him saying the N-word will.
If that was the case and that was the goal, that was pretty weak legs to stand on, because like I said, the context of the word being used was not strong enough. It wasn't a strong enough case for him to even be canceled, or even really to me to be talking about it. And for people to take the position of you can't cancel Joe Rogan over saying the N-word, it puts anybody on defense of that in a really weak position. So that N-word stuff, like I say, I didn't even care about that. The Planet of the Apes comment was more problematic than anything else. It was a joke. I get it. It was a joke. Everybody is subjected to jokes from time to time. Black people were not excluded. And we do have to come to a place where we can start to accept that. But that hasn't been the reality so far. So when we hear somebody say, I walked into Planet of the Apes, and like I said, to me, that was much more problematic than the N-word stuff. I didn't care about the N-word stuff. And that's what everybody was running with. I was more concerned. And I saw that clip of the Planet of the Apes clips, maybe about a year or two ago, when him and Alex Jones were having like a back and forth or whatever. And that clip had came out and I saw it and I was like, wow, that's messed up. Didn't really care about it, kept on going with my life. But when I saw that, that's what I was like, why are people really focused on this N-word stuff? And I was like, oh, because it's the weak position. So let me argue for the N-word controversy and put them in a weak position, because anybody trying to defend it is in a very, very weak position. That's how I see it.
All right, so let's see if this is a weak position. And I understand your argument, right? I get you, definitely. And you're validated for having that argument. I 100% agree with you. The problem is, and I think this was the main motivation why I made the video that I did, that the N-word is not copyrighted, is because there is a debate. There's a controversy over this word in America right now. where there are a group of people who are saying that under any context, under any circumstances, you are not allowed to say this word if you are not a
White.
person. Yeah, if you are white, basically.
Yeah.
And that's the controversy. I was using the Joe Rogan situation to bring light to the fact that who decides what words can be used by certain races and certain words are not able to be used by other races. That's what I was trying to take aim at, because it was a perfect opportunity to show people, well, this black person says that you can't use this word under any circumstances. This other black person says that you can use it under certain circumstances. And this other black person says they don't care if you use it at all. Who gets to decide that the N-word can be used by white people or not? And that's what I was trying to point attention to, because that's an important subject, because people are debating that to this day. And
Yeah.
wouldn't you think it's important to address that? I mean, do you agree with me or disagree with me that nobody has ownership over any word and can tell other people what they can and cannot say?
It's tricky, especially with that particular word, because of the history and the context that it's been used in to be used against us, in such a negative way. I understand the whole sticks and stones break my bones, words will never hurt me argument. But if I walk out of my front door right now and a white person were to refer to me as that, I'm not gonna make a promise on what'll happen, but 9 times out of 10, the situation is gonna be ugly. You know what I'm saying? Because
what would you do if a black person calls you that word?
it would depend on the context.
But it would also depend on the context if a white person said it, right?
Oh yeah, like if he say, hey, what's up, man? I would definitely be kind of thrown aback by it, but I mean, I'm not going, because I know that it's not. Well, I don't know, because a lot of times
it's become very culturally accepted.
I
Because
feel like a lot of white people, they know the controversy around the word, so when they have excuse me. When they have an opportunity to use it and they feel like they're not going to offend you, they'll throw it out there just to kind of test the waters a little bit. I think I think that's what the whole Joe Rogan stuff was with all the clips. I know he knows what he's doing when he uses the word. And despite whatever the context may be, he knows what he's doing. He knows that it's a loaded word and that people are going to feel a way about it. But he knows it also. He can get away with saying it because he's Joe Rogan. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is going to happen if I use it in the context of, man, should we be saying not the N word, but yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing: who's giving power to that word the most? Is it black people or white people? Who's allowing that word to have such power in 2022?
In 2022, I would say, I don't know, because I don't know any other controversies over the word, right? Aside from this particular situation. So in 2022, I can't really say. It's an ugly word when it's used in that context against us. And that's only because of the history. It's a trigger word. They know it's a trigger word. We know it's a trigger word, but we also know it's a word that we use in a different context, and also with a different spelling, right? With the GGA versus the GGER, we use it in a different way. We don't even when we are mad at each other and say, "Man, shut up," we still don't use it in the context of the ER. It's still the GA. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a racist context, but when it's used in a racist context, that's something triggers. It's something that definitely triggers when it's used in that racist way.
Yeah, but I used this example before. Like when I was in school, when I was a young boy, we used to.
You're still a young boy.
Yeah, I'm still a young boy. Obviously.
All right, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, but when people used to try to get to each other, they used to say your mama jokes and stuff like that, or they used to say your shoes so dirty. And there were groups of guys who would want to fight and get upset the moment you bring up a mama joke. Oh, your mama sold this. That was a trigger word, and then they would just fly off the handle. And next thing you know, you got a fight on your hands or something.
Right.
Talking about somebody's mama is only powerful if the person allows that thing to have any weight, or they allow it to have power over them. And the only way to make the N-word irrelevant, the only way to make it not matter, is for black people as a whole to decide, I'm not going to let it doesn't bother me.
It'll never be irrelevant. Listen, let me just say something. I used to drive trucks. I still drive trucks, but I used to drive over the United States, right? All over the country.
I'm a truck driver too, bro. So
Oh, come on, salute, brother,
yeah,
salute. All right,
salute.
but no matter where I would go, any city, any state, right? You could place me in a place. I could look around. I could see the condition of the area, and I can identify to you immediately the type of ethnic makeup of the community there, right?
Mhm.
So basically, if I'm in a spot and it's kind of run down and kind of old looking, I would know. Oh, more than likely, there's going to be people of color here, right? If I'm in a spot where it's all nice and beautiful, and everything is fresh and new and put together, I would know, like, oh, more than likely, or not even more than likely, there's white people. This is a white area, right?
Yeah, yeah.
As
So
long as
what
as
you're
long
doing
as
is a statistical analysis based on your
but what I'm saying,
experience.
as long as that's a reality, racist triggers will always be real because our experiences are so different, our history is so different, and where we are compared to where we've come from is still still not in an equal position. It's an equal playing field, and as long as that's the truth, as long as that's the reality, racist words and stuff like that will always be real triggers for us.
But it doesn't have to be. For example, it doesn't trigger me. I'm
It doesn't
choosing.
have to be.
I'm choosing not to allow it to trigger me. It's a choice. Like, I, true or not, are most white people rich?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So it's possible that one of those rundown neighborhoods could be a white neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we prejudge situations based on our own circumstances, based on our own experience, based on our own biases. But there are more poor white neighborhoods than there are poor black neighborhoods in America, just based on population alone. So statistically, you're kind of flawed in your analysis because statistically you're more likely to run into a rundown white neighborhood than you are a black neighborhood. But yet we would assume, oh, black people must live here. And
I can't say that. That sounds really good that you say it like that. But until you can prove that to me, that I'm not falling for that one, brother, because like I said, my eyes don't lie to me. You know what I'm saying? I've done this, I've been around, I've looked around and seen and known, and it's clear as day. But I understand what you're saying. So
yeah.
I'll rock with you on that. Let's just say that you're right and my logic is flawed. And what you're saying is true. So let's go.
It's only natural, right? Because like you said, your eyes don't lie to you, right? But
Not at all.
But I would tell you that your eyes lie to you all the time. And the reason, if I asked you what color shirt I got on, you would probably tell me, oh, that looks like a grayish or bluish type color shirt. But none of the colors we see are actually the true colors of what we're seeing. We only see the light. We only see the color that's reflected off of the items that we're seeing based on how the light hit our eyes. We're deceived all the time. We make false assumptions all the time. That's why prejudice is so bad, because we prejudge people based on their skin color. So if I walk into a job and somebody sees me because I'm black, they might say, oh, he's not gonna work as hard as the Mexican guy because he's black. But they could be wrong. And the whole point of the civil rights movement and us trying to get out of slavery and all of this stuff was to show other people that you cannot judge me based on my skin color. So I'm only trying to break down those barriers of, if we really want to be equal, if we really want to live in a country, in a world where you're not judged on your skin color, I only ask that you extend the same courtesy to anybody that's a different skin color than you that you would somebody your own skin color. So that's what I do with the N-word. If black people in hip hop songs can say the N-word, or in the projects say the N-word all day, either they have to stop saying it or they have to allow other people to say it, because we're talking about being equal. You can't talk about being equal in a country if you're constantly playing this game of, well, I can do something, but you can't. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I can agree with certain aspects of that statement that you made, right? If I were a white person, I would definitely think that it would be confusing as to why I could listen to a song that has the words in it all throughout the song, and why I quote unquote can't say it, right? I don't agree that in any context the word can't be used by a white person, though. I've never been on that side. I've always been on the side of it would depend on the context.
Yeah.
I used to watch the Young Turks videos, and whenever that word would come up, just like in the Joe Rogan thing, the host Cenk Uygur would actually use the word as opposed to saying the N word. I mean, it's almost exactly the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I never got offended by that because I never thought that it was meant to be offensive, right?
Yeah.
So
you're a lot further than a lot of people, and I respect that and I appreciate that.
well, hold on, you might want to pull that back a little bit because where was I going, bro? I was saying that like if I was a white person, I definitely would be confused. And I agree with certain aspects of what you're saying, right? But I don't think that we'll ever achieve equality. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that that's possible.
Should it be the goal though? Should equality be the goal? That's a good question, don't you think?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about that, to be honest with you. Should equality be the goal?
Because
why should it be the goal? Why would I think something should be the goal if I don't think it's achievable? You know, I don't necessarily know if I think that it should be the goal, because we, as Black people in America, we are so far behind, not because of our own fault. You know, it wasn't our fault. We did not put us in the position to be generations behind, but we are, and we as much progress as we've made as a race of people, which has been absolutely phenomenal, we are still behind.
Now, let me ask you a question. If you remove all white people from America, if you remove every single white person, and it was just, let's say it was only Black people in America, will we still be behind? Are we only behind because we're comparing ourselves to where white people are?
What do you mean, will we still be behind?
Like, when you say we're behind, you're basically saying we're behind where white people are, right? In this country.
In comparison, yes.
Yes, and that's what you mean. In comparison to white people, we are behind, right?
Yeah, that's why, but when you said no white people, there's no one to compare to. So that's why I was like, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. And that's my point. Why do we have to compare ourselves to where white people are?
I don't think it's a thing about we have to compare ourselves, but the reality is we live amongst other races, and so it's impossible not to pass by. I live in Houston, so it's impossible not to pass by Third Ward and the hood and the quote unquote ghetto and not see Black people there and pretend like I don't see that, and pretend like when I go to Sugar Land and I see white people and beautiful homes and all that. It's impossible not to see the difference. You know what I mean? So not necessarily a comparison, but it kind of is, because it's one area that's like this and it's another area that's like that. But and I know for a fact
you've been to the trailer parks, right? And you've seen like white people who live in trailer parks and they are poor.
I've heard about white people in trailer parks. I have not gone to the trailer parks to actually go see them.
Oh, okay. Well, I've lived around those areas before, and I've known plenty of people who come from those areas. And in a lot of cases, they are probably more poor than a lot of Black people I've known. It's this false perception that white people are so much better off than Black people in America, and it's not necessarily true. Now, there are more white people.
Bro, stop it, bro. Stop. Don't say that, bro.
Let me finish.
Okay.
there are much more white people in this country than there are Black people. Black people only make up 13 to 14% of the population in America. That's a very small percentage compared to white people. So it only makes sense that, of course, there are going to be more white people with money and wealth and houses, and of course that's natural, that's given. But at the same time,
hold on, real quick. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can we also say that white people have dominated Black people in this country for hundreds and hundreds of years? So that's also a reason why they would have more power and wealth?
Of course. And
okay, go ahead. All right. I'll let you finish. I just want you to throw that out there, but go ahead. You good. Go ahead. Rock with me.
We also got to make sure we put a distinction between when we say white people, because in America, we have this idea that there is a group of white people. But what we're really talking about is a certain small segment of white people who come from wealth and privilege, who have that generational wealth, who come from the slave owners and all of that. That's a very small percentage compared to the majority of white people. Even when slavery was going on, most white people couldn't even afford to have slaves.
I don't know that to be true, that's a very small percentage, but I'll let you rock though. Go ahead. I don't know that to be true.
All right.
Listen. If I was on your side, you know how people pick sides, right? If I was on your side, I would just roll with that, right? But I can't just roll with that statement because I don't know that to be true. Okay. I don't know that to be true. A small percentage of white people come from wealth and blah blah blah. No, I don't believe it.
I look at the history, and this is what the history shows. Most white people did not own slaves in America. Most white people don't come from slave owners. And there were even black people who owned slaves back early on.
I don't know that. I wasn't there for that.
Okay. All right. So let just put that aside, right?
Right.
There are about 70% of white people in this country. Last time I checked, it could be less. But there's around 60 to 70% of white people in this country that make up the country. Out of that 60 or 70%, are you willing to make the claim that 40% or more are actually wealthy?
I'm not willing to make that claim. No.
Yeah, because
no.
In order to say most or majority of white people actually are benefiting or are come from wealth or whatever, you have to say that over 40% of those people have wealth and are well off. And that's not.
I'm not arguing that position. I don't know. I'm just saying that I don't believe very little. How you said very little white people. I'm just saying I don't believe it's very little. Now, is it most? I don't know that either.
Okay, it could be a lot of white people, but those white people are small compared to all white people. I'm not saying that there aren't a lot of white people with wealth. What I'm saying is when you compare those white people to the majority of white people, those percentages are much smaller than the rest of white people. Now, and that could still mean a lot of white people, right? You could say 2%. Right. That could be a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to get to is we say white people, but white people don't even see themselves as white people. There are Irish, there are Italians. Some people even consider Jews to be white. There are certain demographics.
Whoopi Goldberg, but go ahead.
Whoopi Goldberg, right?
Yeah.
So when people say white people, oftentimes what they're saying is anybody who looks what we consider to be white. But a lot of these people come from oppression. A lot of these people were slaves in their past at some point. So I just don't believe that white people are one voice or one monolith of people that we can just point to and say, look at that. It's a class thing. There are people within a certain class of white people who have an interest in keeping us divided, have an interest in keeping the wealth and the power. And they don't like poor white people either. They don't like poor white people either. But you can give me your last thoughts on that. And I want to jump into why you don't like conservatives.
I don't say I don't like them. Why I don't typically like conservatives. But look, damn, man, I had a really good point to go with that.
It's okay. Take your time.
Give me that last point again, and I'm gonna jump back on it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What I was saying is that white people don't necessarily see themselves as just white people.
Hold on. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. So for a black person like myself, unlike yourself, when we're targeted by a race or racist people, it's typically white people, right? We're targeted not because we're rich black or poor black or conservative black or liberal black. We're targeted because we're black, right? And this is the
if they're racist, yeah, definitely.
This is the advantage that racist white people have against us, and why it's been so hard for us to fight back. And when I say fight, I don't mean physically fight. I mean even just through just through living, right? It's so hard because we can't identify who's who. I don't know who. I can look at a white person, but I can't tell you that white person has some kind of hatred towards me or some kind of bias towards me. That person might be an ally of mine, and I don't even know. So it's hard for me. When we say white people, a lot of us, it's a reflex because since we're black, we're targeted because we're black, but we can't lash back out and just say white people, because then some white people say, well, it's not me. I'm not that kind of person. You know, it's not me. We're not that kind of white people. So it's difficult to identify who's who. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's difficult for us to say. But we say it because it's just a natural thing to say. Because we're black, we say white people or white folks or then white folks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it automatically lumps all white people together, which I can understand why some white people can feel, or a lot of white people will feel like, well, hey, it's not all of us, you know. But they don't understand.
And black people don't want to feel that way either. Black people don't want to be stereotyped.
We don't, but we have. Who can we say, damn, these people keep fucking with us? Oh. I'm sorry, bro.
You're good, bro.
Good. Who can we say, wow, these people keep
messing with us? So, yeah.
You know, like, so it's a natural thing to want to strike back at somebody, even if it's just verbally. And the people who do it tend to be white. And then so we say those white folks are messing with us, right? Or it's those white folks. But it's not necessarily true that it's just white folks, you know?
Yeah, I think that I think it's inflated because, like, you know, I grew up around like a lot of Mexicans, right? And I know that Mexicans can be racist as all get out, right? Like, I've heard some Mexicans say some things that I've never heard a white person say about black people, right? Now, I'm not saying that Mexicans are on average racist or whatever, but I'm just pointing out that a lot of this what we're discussing is inflated. Like, as you turn on the news, they're always going to point us in the direction of all the negativity. They're going to say, oh, a black person was shot by the police. A black person was discriminated against here and there. But what we're missing in context is all of the millions of black people who go about their day-to-day lives who never, ever have those experiences. And so we believe that that's the average black person's experience when it's not true. Like, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you the hate crime statistics of, I believe, 2021 or something like that, right? And you would think that based on how much people believe that racism affects us on an everyday basis, and this does not affect.
I said it was like 8,000 something reported cases of hate crimes. Yeah,
and that's just within the race. So that could mean white people, black people, Hispanic, any race. And it's only 8,052 single bias incidents. And this was the year 2020, right? And there are millions of black people in this country, and even more millions of white people. Compared to the amount of hate crime that's happening, that's minuscule. That's very minuscule. But a lot of black people out here actually believe that every day they are under constant attack by white people. And it's just not the case. Now, that doesn't
I can't, but hold on. Who said, like, I've yet to hear somebody say that. I feel like I'm under constant attack by white people. I've seen that charge levied against a lot of black people that they say that they feel that way, but I don't see black people saying that they feel that way. Like, I've yet to meet a black person that said, man, I'm under constant attack from white people every day. But I always hear not black people, but I hear people say that black people are feeling this way.
Well, and I think let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
When was the last time that people rioted or went on a major march on black crime?
I don't know. I mean, I can't really say that. I'm not sure.
I couldn't tell you either because it doesn't happen.
But let's not do that. Let's not say that doesn't happen, because there are a lot of people who put events together for stop the violence and blah blah blah. Yes, and so I can't omit that and pretend like people are not doing things just because I don't know.
Yeah, but it's not a national movement. It's not something. There were people in Britain doing Black Lives Matter rallies because of George Floyd.
Right.
There was a world movement on some of these situations and circumstances.
Okay.
Let alone when a white person, Tony Temple, who died very similar to George Floyd, there was no national movement. There wasn't presidents coming out to speak about it. That lets me know that there is much more emphasis on racism against black people in America than there is.
Because it should be highlighted. I mean, if you go to YouTube right now and type in police brutality, you tell me the races of the police versus the races of the people who are being brutalized by those police in all those different videos. And I know that that's not a scientific study, but just do it and just look, and you tell me who's whooping or beating or shooting and killing who on these videos. And I say, I understand your point as far as the white person being killed by the police, but there's a long history of black people being targeted and hurt and beaten and falsely arrested and all of that type of stuff, man. We cannot omit that and pretend like that is not true.
I'm not trying to omit that. Within context, that makes sense.
No, I'm not saying that you are. I'm just saying that just in general, we can't pretend like the history is not the reason that these things are highlighted in the media and whatnot, right? Because history has brought us to where we are now. I mean, it didn't just pop up and be like this. You know, it's a reason why these things are happening, bro.
Look, I agree with you. Given the
Thank you.
context and the history of what happened to Black people in America, it's only natural for people to be much more on pins and needles, right?
Yeah.
But here's the problem that I run into. That's fine. If you want to fight racism, I'm 100% with you. Even though a lot of times Black cops be doing stuff to Black suspects as well, and
Absolutely.
they're probably more likely to do it. Black
Absolutely.
judges are more likely to be harsher on Black young men than white cops. I mean, white judges. Like, they've done the studies and they found these things. Now, what I'm saying is, when somebody like myself brings up, hey, I get that you want to fight racism, right? And I'm 100%. If a cop kills a Black man unjustly, I want justice as well. But why is so much energy being put in this direction when we know that there are a multitude of things that affect the Black community much more than racism currently in America right now? But you get shut down. People say, oh no, we want to put all of our energy here. And like I said, there are people out there who are fighting Black on Black crime, fighting, injustice in the school system. There are people out there trying to do that, but they don't get nowhere near the amount of attention, nowhere near the amount of, energy. You don't have presidents coming out acknowledging these groups and, trying to put them on a pedestal to get more people involved. I have to believe that once you have the information and you know that single mothers are raising these young Black kids, and we know that if you don't have a father in the house, you're like 10 times or 12 times more likely to go to prison. We know these things based on the studies. And when I bring that up, I would expect all the people out there trying to fight systemic racism to say, wait a minute, this is harming Black people on a much larger scale. Maybe we should put a lot more energy into that. So I have to question these people's motive when they know what the problems are, but yet they only want to focus on racism. Why is that?
I can't tell you that because, like I said, I would have to see that for myself to be able to judge it. All I can do is take your word for it. If you're having conversations with people and you're talking about fatherless homes and single mothers raising children as being a problem, and they're directing the conversation back to racism, I can't speak on that. But if I were to speak on it just without all the information, that sounds just like emotional responses, right? Because if they were to actually pay attention and listen to what you're saying, I think that they would probably agree with you more than want to just revert it right back to racism. So I'm not on the side of that, right? I don't think that what you're saying is wrong as far as those things are concerned. But my thing is, I don't ever like to just pretend like the racism is not an element. Racism is real, bro. And just because you may not have experienced it or somebody else Black have not experienced it, and they may come on YouTube and say, well, I haven't experienced racism. And a lot of white people are in the comments saying, thank you. I'm so happy that you're speaking the truth. It doesn't mean that that's the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because it still does exist.
Yeah. And I don't, a lot of times I had this conversation, and before I even started a YouTube channel, I was having these conversations with friends and families, right? And I would say things like, yes, racism exists. Yes, redlining existed. Yes, slavery existed. And some of these things have effects on us today. I'll say those things. And then I'll say, but there are bigger things that we can do within our own communities that we can help Black people if you really want to help Black people. And we should put more energy and more time and effort into it. And then they'll ignore completely everything I said about acknowledging slavery, red line, and then they'll just jump on it like, you trying to ignore racism? I'm like,
no, but I'll tell you why though. I'll tell you why I think that is. Because it's not highlighted enough that when you say, it's kind of like you saying it just to acknowledge it, but then immediately blow it over and then go to something else. And if people think that you're just saying it just to get to another point, it kind of doesn't, it's not heard properly, right? So like when you highlight certain things, and this is, let's get to the conservative thing, bro, because when you highlight certain things and you kind of brush over others, what you highlight tends to be more of the topic of conversation rather than what you spoke on, but then you quickly moved away from, right? So I'm happy to hear that you say things like that, because some people will say, well, slavery, there's no such, slavery didn't have an effect on what's going on today. Like, come on, I wasn't a slave. I wasn't a slave owner. There'll be those type of stupid arguments against stuff like that. So and somebody as intelligent as you are, who is able to captivate white people, bring them in because you agree. I see how I use white people, but white conservatives, I should say. But like somebody like you who is able to speak in a way that white conservative people can grasp onto, you can highlight more of the things that are usually glossed over as far as racism is concerned, because I think that they'll probably give you more of a listen, or they'll just turn on you and then start calling you all those names that they pretended that they never called people. You know what I'm saying? So, like, go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
I'm not really interested in appeasing any particular person over another person. The reason that I get that you say that, I'm brushing past those things in order to highlight a certain thing. And that's why people might have that reaction to me. That's fair game, right? But I know that it's more of an emotional reaction than a logical reaction. Because if they actually listening and agree with what I'm saying, they'll realize that racism is a problem about this big where we are now. And they'll realize that black people killing other black people is much bigger. And what's the best way to tell somebody, like, we got a pandemic, we got an emergency over here, the house is on fire, and you're worried about a leaking roof?
Yeah, but you can't limit that to black people. People are just emotional, period. It's kind of like but hold on, it's like the pandemic itself. Wear a mask that's likely to help. Say, I don't want to wear a mask. No mask, no mask, right? People are going to react that way. It doesn't matter if it's logical or not. That's an emotional response. I don't want to wear this mask. I'm not going to wear this mask. I mean, Trump did it his entire presidency. He was just like, F the mask, at rallies, no masks are required. I mean, come on, bro. And that's a people thing. That's not a black thing or white thing. People respond emotionally, and they do things that don't make any sense whatsoever. And can we make sense of it? No, we can't make sense of it because we're logical people. I'm logical. You're logical. We may disagree on things, but at the end of the day, we can meet at the middle with logic, bro. But most people are not like you and I, and they can't do that. You feel what I'm saying? It's impossible for them to do it. They don't have, I don't know what it is in their brain that just does not click properly, but it always leads to an emotional response rather than a logical one, whether it's about race, whether it's about masks in a pandemic, whether it's about, it could be, whether it's about the election results. I mean, because it's the same thing. And you used an example, and I want to ask you something about the election results. Like,
let me respond to that. Keep your mind on that election result.
Yeah.
Keep your mind on that. I don't want you to forget what you were going to ask. But here's the thing: if we can acknowledge that people are emotional, right?
Absolutely.
Well, the last thing I want is for people who are trying to make changes and trying to affect the way we live in this country to be doing it based on their emotions. If you cannot take your emotions out of it in order to make rational, logical decisions on a way to move forward in this country, shut up and get out of the way. I don't mean to be insensitive. I understand people have emotional responses and they have experiences. I'm not trying to belittle those things. All I'm saying is, if you cannot put your emotions to the side and think rational about how we fix the problems that we're facing, I need you to get the hell out of the way and let the people who are equipped to do this type of work do it. And
that's not reality, though, bro.
Then we're not going to get anywhere. We're not.
We're not. I can tell you right now, we are not going to get anywhere. It's because that's not reality. You know what it would take to find a large group of people who are actually in positions of power, who can create change, who are all logical and not emotional. Do you know what that would take for that to happen? That'll never happen. So
I guess I have more faith in people than some people.
And from what I remember you were an atheist. Were you an atheist? Were you not? Okay, I mean, you an atheist with a lot of faith. That's beautiful, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I got more faith in people and in black people in particular. That's why I don't make excuses for them. That's why I do believe that they can be so much more. People can be so much more. I believe that there are white people out there who are racist right now who don't have to be racist tomorrow. I believe that. Because there are white people who don't become racist or remain racist their whole life. I believe that there are black people who will rise up and decide to take responsibility for themselves, work harder, be better, and take care of their communities. I believe that because I see people do it all the time.
Well, hold on. With that, let me say, I believe that there are white people who can one day wake up and decide to take responsibility and do better for themselves.
Of course.
I just don't like that those type of things are always associated with black. Somebody doing better for themselves and taking responsibility. So I just want to throw that in there.
You just did it though, right? Because what did I say before that? I said I believe that there are white people who are racist right now,
right?
Who won't be racist tomorrow. I believe that people have the ability to change.
Absolutely, better. I agree with that.
And the only reason I put the focus in on black people, I get that people say, "Well, why you don't bring up white on white crime and stuff like that?" And the reason I don't get into those conversations is because most of the time we're talking about how do we help black people. I can't help black people by talking about what white people got going on in their own communities.
I agree with that.
And that's all I'm trying to do. So people have a conversation with me and they say, well, what do you think we should do with the black community and stuff like that? I'm like, well, there's a black on black crime. And well, why you didn't bring up white on white crime? I'm like, but I thought we was talking
about emotion. That's emotion. Those are emotional responses. Don't omit those. Don't even, don't even listen to that, bro. Cause that's an emotional response, bro. Because that's somebody who was glossing over the actual issue to try to make a comparison or to try to make that issue seem better by bringing up another issue. To me, that really ain't even an issue. I don't care, man. When I talk to people about stuff like this, bro, I don't care to hear that type of stuff. Well, what about white on white? Because as soon as somebody starts saying that what about this or what about that? But what about what I'm talking about and the topic that we're on? If we can't stay there, bro, miss me with the entire argument.
Yeah. And I agree with you there. And I think we're going to talk about this last thing before we move.
Man, that's about the fourth time you said I agree with you, man. Go ahead, brother. I'm loving it.
Yeah, because I don't think we disagree on much. I think what you might be more concerned with is how I approach things and how I decide to have the conversation versus, I think that's where our most disagreement is. But,
I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro. I think we got a lot of disagreements, but like I told you before,
with me on a lot of things too now.
Yeah, but what I said though, we can disagree, but we can meet in the middle with logic, bro. Yeah. And even at the very least, we can say, okay, I agree to disagree, but I respect your opinion. And if you can walk away respecting mine, bro, I'm 100 with you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like I told you from the very beginning, I typically don't like talking to conservatives at all. But you're a black conservative, and to me, it angers me even more to really to run across black conservatives. But I'm willing and I'm always open to give you a listen to hear where you're coming from. That don't mean I'm walking away agreeing with what you say, but I find myself a lot of times having agreements more than disagreements, because a lot of times we want the same things. We just not listening. We're not hearing what the other person is saying, bro. So yeah, man, I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to really talk to you. I mean, you didn't have to do that, bro. But I come from a place of logic, bro. I really do.
Yeah. And I'm gonna put it like this. The people that you're talking about emotional and stuff like that, I get you. But that's not who my fight is with. My fight is not with those people. I'm not fighting the drug dealers on the corner. I'm not fighting the gang members out there on the streets. I'm not fighting the guys who killing each other every day. I'm fighting the people who know better. I'm fighting the people with power, with influence, the celebrities, the politicians, the people who know better, the people who are educated, the people who know what the real problems are and the real situations are. Those are the people who are sending these messages to these young black people. They're the people who are dividing us. They're the people who are keeping us focused on the wrong agendas. When we all really, like say, we agree on a lot and we can have these conversations, but yet very smart people are telling people every day that racism, that's what you need to focus on. That's what you need to focus on.
I have not seen anybody say that. When you say that, say
I'll
it.
give you a perfect example. Have you seen my video called when I reacted to that documentary, Everything's Gonna Be All White?
When you reacted to the trailer?
Yes, the trailer.
Yeah.
Those were educated black people with success, with money, who are putting an emphasis and a focus on white people and what they are doing to black people.
I won't say that that's what that was, but I can see how you come to that conclusion by watching the trailer.
I don't know what else it could be. The whole thing is focused on white people.
Hey man, but it was the trailer is not saying anything in particular. It is discussing race, but it's not saying anything in particular as far as like having an actual message. You know, it was just a shock value trailer to get people's attention, and it got people's attention.
It was
But
disgusting, man.
I would have loved to do that reaction video with you in real time. But when I watched it, I was like, bro, I have so many opposite positions on stuff that you're saying. But it's like you can't be challenged in those videos because you're just saying, and I'm like, bro, what are you here you go again on it. Here you go again,
bro. I have people on that disagree with me all the time to have these conversations in real time.
Yeah, but it's not in real time. So, and I get it. So when you do it, it definitely, anybody can make anything sound a certain way at any time without any kind of opposition in real time, right? So if I could make a video right now about a particular topic and people say, yeah, but then there could be somebody who can rebut that, and if we were actually doing it together, it would stop a lot of that momentum that I'm having as far as the things that I'm saying, because I'd be challenged. And all I'm saying is, bro, I was like, bro, I really wish I was in that video with him in real time reacting to that, because man, it would have been classic, bro.
Bro, and I wished I could have been there while they were shooting that trailer, so I could rebut all of the stuff.
They would have kicked you. Right? They would have kicked you smooth out of the building, bro.
Yeah, I know they would have. They don't want to hear what I have to say. And I get it. We all have those moments where I wish I could have said this. I could have said it. Look, that's why you're here, because you voiced a disagreement with me on one of my videos, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to speak out. Some people won't give you that courtesy. Not
at all. Especially conservative people, because a lot of conservative people do not want to hear opposition. They just want to hear what they want to hear, and that's it. And it's so when you say things are dividing the country, stuff like that is dividing the country. When you do not allow people to have an opposing opinion, and all you want to do is spread a certain message to your people, that's not right.
See, but
it's just not right.
I would argue that's not conservatives. That's
let's rock.
That's
okay. Well, let's rock. Let's rock. If you want to rock, let's rock.
Right, why you don't like why you? I don't want to put how you said it, but why you generally don't like conservatives, I guess, in a sense.
Typically don't like conservatives because their point of view is slanted in a way that is not based on any kind of logic or facts whatsoever. It's all emotion. It's typically all emotion. I don't know,
bro.
Oh yeah, and you know what? You know what? I love the fact that you laugh like this, because this is also part of the thing with conservatives. It's like at some point, conservatives are telling everybody else that they feel a certain way when it's really them that feel that way. Okay. It's them that act that way. They're conservatives to say, you guys are snowflakes, all you do is cry. But then anything that they hear that they don't like, they're the ones crying and they're the ones trying to.
I think that both sides are guilty of that in a certain sense. I'm not saying that conservatives
I'm not saying that both sides. See, my thing is, we talking about conservatives, right?
Yeah.
Like, so why both sides shouldn't even be part of the conversation? We talking about conservatives.
It's mostly not conservatives that's doing it.
Hey man, I almost cursed again on your live stream because that's not true. It's not true. Conservatives are the biggest hypocrites that I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, can liberals be hypocrites? Of course, but
give me an example. Give me an example of a conservative being a hypocrite.
I can't think of one off the top of my head right now. But I guarantee I can get back with you on it. I guarantee you.
And I would love to hear. And look, we can do this again. And I love.
Oh man, if you give me some time, I promise I'm gonna roast you, man, because it's facts over here, man. It's not. I promise, it's not emotion. It's facts and it's logic over here. I remember I wasn't into like no politics and no stuff like that. Man, I'm just a regular guy, truck driver guy. I'm driving around the country, and I started driving trucks at the time when Sirius satellite radio became available, right? Mm-hmm. So, I listen to rap music. So I would go to different parts of the country. And when I first started driving trucks, they didn't have rap stations in Booga Hooga, Idaho. You know what I'm saying? So they had a thing called Sirius XM radio. I bought one, and now I could listen to rap all over the country while I was driving, right? Mm-hmm. But and I was a young person at the time. I was a young man. But then I was like, bro, I'm tired of hearing just rap. Let me hear something else. So I said, okay, let me try to put the politics stuff. Try the politics channel. So naturally, they have.
You should have never did that.
It was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me because it allowed me to really see the world for what it is. Yeah. And let me tell you what happened. This George Bush was still president at the time, right? Obama hadn't even come into office. I turned to one of the channels. It was the conservative channel. Mind you, I don't know conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican. I'm maybe 21 years old. I'm not into anything like that. I know Jay-Z. I know DJ Screw. I know Lil Keke, Fat Pat. You know what I'm saying? Like I know. Yeah, I know what I know. I don't know nothing about any of that. So I'm listening to the conservative channel. And that's what I landed on. And I'm just listening, and every single thing George Bush does is beautiful. It's great. It's wonderful. And everything a Republican does is just great. It's nothing wrong. Everything a Democrat does is terrible. It's wrong. It's the worst thing that they've ever like. I'm like, bro, I don't know about this here. So I go to the other channel, the quote unquote liberal channel, and everything that George Bush does is wrong, and everything that he does is not good, but everything that the Democrats do is not right. They're criticizing the Democrats. They're criticizing the Republicans. Really? They're criticizing everybody, huh?
Well, I'll give you this. When George Bush was in office, we was in a different time. And I was when George Bush was in office, I was a kid. I'm gonna be honest with you. So that's before my era. Like I've studied and I've looked up what I can about history, but I wasn't living in that context at the time. So you probably experienced something that I didn't personally experience, right? When Obama got elected, I was like 15, 16. I was in juvenile detention center. So like, that's how young I am.
Yeah.
But I get your point. But today times, right? In today times, conservatives constantly reach out for liberals and people on that other side to have conversations with them.
Not in good faith, though. Just to have a conversation is one thing, but to have a conversation in good faith is another thing. You reached out to have a conversation in good faith, which is, I applaud you 100% on that, right? But just because you say you reached out doesn't mean that you do it in good faith. Tucker Carlson is not reaching out to a liberal to have a conversation on Fox News in good faith.
Okay, so granted.
Hold on, real quick. Would you agree with that, or do you think that I'm wrong about that?
I don't think that it's in good faith. I mean, politics is a very messy thing, so I get what you're saying.
It's very childish.
Yeah, it's very childish, but there are good faith conservatives out there reaching out to these people, and Ben Shapiro reaches out to a lot of liberals to have him on the show. He had liberals on his show, and they have great conversations.
Here we go.
They don't argue, and they don't go back and forth and bicker between each other. They have good faith arguments. If you look at his Sunday specials, you a lot of times what I see liberals do is they'll make all of these accusations and claim that Republicans and conservatives are doing this, but yet conservatives say, okay, well, let's have this conversation. Let's sit down and have a conversation. Of course, they want to try to prove the other person wrong. But
right there, we already starting in bad faith. That's the problem. When your whole goal is to prove the other person wrong, you already starting off on bad footing, and you already starting in bad faith. That's not good faith. I don't care to prove you wrong. I want to have a conversation I want to see what your position is, and I want you to hear mine and see where we can come together and mesh together. I don't care about proving you wrong. Yeah, but I don't care about being on opposite of you.
Here's the problem, though. Some of these people who have power and positions of influence, what they say has impact on people's day-to-day lives. So it's only natural for you to want to prove them wrong, so people will stop listening to the nonsense that they're saying. That's what the motivation is. It's like you're telling people something that are having major dire consequences, and I have to somehow prove that they should stop listening to that. I get that having a good faith dialogue is important, but at the same time, I'm not gonna lie. There are certain things like AOC. I don't know. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, right? And I would love to have her sit down with a Candace Owens or something of that sort, and them to hash out their differences and disagreements and see who has the best facts and arguments or whatever. I would love to see that. And Candace Owens has reached out and said that she's willing to have the conversation with AOC, and AOC will never do it. I get that AOC is a congresswoman, and Candace Owens is basically a pundit. She's a conservative pundit, basically. But
yeah, but if I'm AOC and a congresswoman, I don't want to sit down with somebody who has been so outlandish over the years. And I don't know how you may be a big fan of hers, bro. She's so outlandish and so
I'm not a
so
big fan.
unnecessary. Huh?
I'm not a big fan of anybody.
Okay, but
I
I'm
would
just saying
disagree
her
with
in
people.
particular.
Yeah. I'm
Her
just
in
saying that I
particular.
would love to see that conversation.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
she's
saying.
so unnecessarily divisive. So why would I want to? Why would I want to? And like I say, if I was AOC, I would. You know, but as soon as I see it going to stupid land, I'm not finna stay there, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I'd give anything a shot. You know what I'm saying? I'd give anybody a shot. But I don't know, man.
Well, all right. So let's focus on conservatism for an example.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of people have the assumption that conservatives are these things, like conservatives are this, conservatives are that. And they've done studies, and what they really found was conservatives understand what liberals think better than what liberals think conservatives think. The studies show that conservatives are much more aware of what liberals actually believe versus the other way around. So it seems as if liberals are not really truly understanding what conservatives mean when they push for certain policies or want certain things. And it's a disconnection there. I have liberals on my show all the time, and some of the things they'll say about conservatives, and I'm like, that's not what conservatives believe. That's not what our position are. And it's a straw man of what conservatism actually is for many people. And I get that there are going to be conservatives who disagree on certain issues or have different reasons why they're pushing for a certain thing. But I guarantee you, if you listen to more like honest, genuine conservatives, you'll come away thinking, you know what? Maybe there's more to what conservatives are actually saying than what you genuinely would expect. And that's what my experience has constantly been. And you said, and I'll say this and then I'll let you speak. But you said that you was driving your truck and you started tuning into conservative radio, and then you started listening to like the liberal networks and stuff like that. Well, I was never political. I got thrust into this thing because people bought politics to me. So I said, okay, what I'll do is I'll look at the issues, I'll look at the policies, I'll look at what the problems are that people are claiming they are. And I did my homework and I did my research, and I kind of found out conservatism makes so much more sense than liberalism. It just makes so much more sense. And then the problem is, why is it that George Floyd and people like that get murals put up of them, but you have one of the greatest minds, which is Thomas Sowell, a black man alive right now, who's written so many books and touched on many of these subjects that conservatives have been talking about for so long, and they ignore him. They act as if he doesn't even really exist. There's a disconnection there. They have conservatives out to be the boogeyman, but what they're really doing is black conservatives, especially in the black community, I guarantee you, if they allow black conservatives to actually teach and talk to these people in this community, they would give them some real solid advice, and they would actually make much more progress in the black community than what the liberals are pushing right now. That's just my take. And you can tell me what you think, and then we can wrap it up there, bro.
Again, so with my ability to be able to hear both sides of an argument, I can say that there may be some truth to that. A lot of times black conservatives, when talking to other black people, they come off as very condescending. They come off as very offensive, and they put people in a defensive position a lot of times, right? So when you hear people, when the argument is like you spoke about, like single mothers and fatherless homes, a lot of that is spoken when it comes to black conservatives in particular, to black people, but it's not heard because a lot of times it's brought up in a way where it's almost kind of offensive. You know what I'm saying? If the rhetoric can change and we could take a lot of the emotion out of it, man, I promise we could definitely come to a lot of common ground on a bunch of these topics, bro.
Yeah, I think there's a problem there too, because like I'm a different type of conservative than I think.
Well, you're an atheist, number one, so that's number one for sure.
Yeah.
You're different.
Yeah, but like a lot of the people who are like the mainstream black conservatives, the ones who get the attention and get the microphones, I don't think we have the same style of approaching these things, and that's fair.
No, you come in good faith. I can see that you do come in good faith. Now you may leave with a bunch of nonsense, and you may continue on with a bunch of nonsense. But at the very least, you do come in good faith, and you can have conversations with people and not try to how you explain like
demean them or like
no. Well, you said like prove the other side wrong or something like that. I don't care for that. That's what all that is that's just fighting. I don't want to fight with nobody, bro. We don't need to fight. We need to figure out how we could talk to each other and live with each other, because we got, whether we black, white, conservative, we live on this earth. This earth is spinning, and we are all, if the aliens come from a different planet right now, we all we got. You feel what I'm saying? So, and we need to have conversations about this rap music, about the violence that's in our communities, because it's beyond terrible. Like it's atrocious, man. It's sad and it's evil. Yeah. But we can't have a lot of these conversations because there's so much emotion wrapped around these topics, bro. And I guarantee you we would find so much more common ground if we just learn how to talk to each other as opposed to talking at one another. For real.
And I know that there are times, and people are gonna point to them, and there are gonna be many situations. It might happen in the future where I could have handled something better. I could have said something better. Like, I'm human, just like anybody else. And a lot of times we don't say things in the way that could be, received properly. And I try my best, and I'm not always successful. I'm very passionate. I was a kid from the projects. I bought into a lot of this stuff, and it led me nowhere. It only destroyed my life. And I was surrounded by kids who never had a chance. At least I had a dad, and I had some role models there trying to guide me, but some people just don't have a chance. And I think about them all the time when I'm having these conversations, because I know that some young kid life is being affected if we don't get these subjects. If we don't figure out a way to talk to one another and try to like come to the right solutions. And I'm tired of arguing. I get it. I'm tired of arguing. I want to see some change, and I want to get things done. And the best way to do that is to hear out what other people have to say and understand where you're coming from. And maybe you can tweak the way I approach things, and maybe I can tweak the way you approach things. Or maybe we'll just say, oh, I never knew we agreed on that. And that's a good thing. That's a win. And then other people will say, oh, well, look, we got an ally in this particular area. And that's what it's about, And I'm so glad that you decided to have this conversation with me, because I know when we first started going back and forth and I extended it to you, I wasn't sure. Some people will attack me or whatever, and they don't want to actually have a conversation. And the fact that you were willing to do it, I mean, kudos to you, man. I take my hat off to you. And I think that people like you are what we need in this society. And I know you have good faith, and I know that you're actually, have a good heart. And that's what we're doing right here,
Absolutely. One thing I want to say, bro, it's like when we team up on these certain teams or certain sides, that's an issue in itself right there. Because when you tell somebody that you don't know that you're a conservative, right? You're already alienating some people. Just like if somebody else were to say, hey, I'm a liberal, you already alienating some other people, right? We have created these teams, right? And these teams that we're not even really a part of, but we still claim, because that's just what we do. It's like the Bloods and the Crips, bro. You know what I hate more than anything? When like a George Floyd incident happened, and the Bloods and the Crips be out in the street and they tie their rags together and they pretend and they do this whole unity nonsense, bro, because it's not real. We as Black people cannot unite if we are separated in different groups. And it's the same thing with Americans. We're not going to unite if I call myself a this and you call yourself a that, because we can unite briefly and we can say, oh, yeah, man, it's kumbaya, kumbaya. Yeah. But soon after, we're going to go back into our camps, and something is going to kick off something to where we are back on different sides. And that's why I don't see a solution to this, because everybody claims a group or claims a gang. You know what I'm saying? And until we stop that and we just become Americans, which won't happen, by the way, but I'm just, pie in the sky. Hey, pie in the sky thinking, you know what I'm saying? Fantasy world. I do it all the time. I wish that we could just be people. I wish that we could just be people and don't see black and white. Not say don't see, but don't acknowledge it in a way. that is, you know, it separates us and tears us apart. But that's just, unfortunately, bro. And I don't know how old you are, but you were 15 when Obama got elected. You're fairly young, probably not even 30 yet. How old are you? We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I'm 29. Huh? I'll be 30 this year.
Yeah. So, and I guarantee you, bro, as wise as you are, bro, the older that you get, you are going to come up with different thoughts. You know, the way you think now, and you may not even believe it. You may think, no, the way I think now is on point. But the older you get, your thoughts and your positions on certain things will change. Mine did. You know, I never thought that I would be open to, I don't know, like gay marriage and all these type of things, but I was before the curve on a lot of people. And that day when I bought that Sirius satellite radio is the thing that opened me up to all of that, bro. For real. You know, so
I know I'm gonna change, and I know I'm gonna grow as a person. There are gonna be things I shift my ideas on and things like that. I get it. It's happened so many times. I'm not the same guy I was when I was 15. You know, and I have these conversations with my father all the time. And like, I'm constantly trying to prove myself wrong on so many different things because hell, I doubt myself all the time. That's what it's about. And I guess that's why I'm great at talking to other people, is because I'm always challenging myself and trying to grow because I don't want to be wrong. I want to be, if I got a platform, I want to put out the most accurate information I can because it might help a life. It might save somebody. It might bring somebody together. And I get that your whole idea about the camps having different, like, I'm a conservative and I'm a liberal or things like that. Like when I call myself a conservative, I'm not talking about like what team I'm on. It's just my idea on what, like, how I see the government and how I see what the government's role is in our lives and stuff like that, and how I personally choose to live as a person. I don't.
But hold up, real quick. I'm sorry. It's not about how you present it. It's how it's received. Yeah. So I'm not saying that your label.
I was getting there.
Yeah. I'm sorry, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah. And like I said with the N-word is, you can't change people's idea about that word unless you give them an alternative of understanding. And I don't want anybody to be mad because somebody calls themselves a liberal, or somebody be mad because that person calls them a conservative. What I'm trying to do is normalize the fact that whatever you call yourself, I want to deal with what you are saying as a person, you know? And there are conservatives I completely disagree with, right? But I'm not going to judge one conservative off of another conservative, just like I won't judge another black man off of what other black men do. And that's what I'm trying to set the example of. Deal with people for who they are, not based on what group they are from or what they claim to be. Because I don't want a white person to judge you because you belong to the black race. I want them to treat you as an individual and see what you believe, and let's have a conversation about that. And that's what I'm trying to break through from. I don't want people judging anybody based on their groups.
Yeah, but how realistic is that? Like, all I see is conservative slander against liberals. Liberal this, liberal them, damn liberals, liberal. Like, that's not, like I say.
Yeah, but I can't control that. All I can do is set the example. That's all I can do. And walk my walk.
I agree, but we still wish for better in the world, right? So when we look at the world and how it is, I can't help but to just to be disappointed in the fact that I know that the world is not going to change, bro. Like, you may change, you may help. Maybe, I don't know, I don't want to limit you. You know what I'm saying? You may help a lot of people. Let me just say that. But however many people you may come across, and you may help them to view conservatives or conservatism, there's still going to be so many more who are just wild and negative and nonsensical. And the fact that I know that is so defeating, man. You know what I'm saying? It hurts, bro, because I really want better for the world. You know what I'm saying? Bro,
it's gonna hurt me too, because I know there are gonna be people who say, "Oh, you let him say this and get away with that, and you didn't push back on this, and you didn't say what the liberal." Like, I know there are gonna be people who do that. It comes with the territory. But I'm not talking to those people. I'm talking to the people who can hear, the people who have ears who will listen. That's who I'm talking to. We can't appease everybody. We can't make everybody agree with us. But the people who can hear, that's who we're talking to right now.
Bro, all I want, bro, is when there's 10 years from now, when you look back at your videos I want you to look at that Joe Rogan video and I want you to cry, not of laughter, but I want you to cry of embarrassment that you actually took the time to talk to Joe Rogan and tell him to not. Bro, I was so hot. I was like, bro, so I must have missed your video where you told Whoopi the same thing, to not back down and not to give in. And I'm like, bro,
you didn't see my Whoopi video. Whoopi shouldn't have been suspended. Whoopi shouldn't have.
I saw a video where you said that, right? Where you said that, and you also said that I guess you said that you understood what she was trying to say. And I was like, for a conservative, I guess I'll take that, but it's still not the same emphasis, right? There's so much emphasis. Joe Rogan don't need your support. He got plenty.
Whoopi don't need my support either. She got plenty. Whoopi don't need my support either. She got plenty of white liberals supporting her.
Well, I don't know that to be true. I see everybody criticizing her. No. Just hear me out. If you go to the Young Turks, TYT, watch their video on Whoopi Goldberg and see if they're defending her or not. They're not. They're trashing her. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I say about like stuff. This is the type of stuff that I say about. You won't go to a conservative outlet and hear them bashing a conservative.
Yeah, I want you to.
If you ever run across that,
when we get done, conservatives do it all the time. But when we get done, I want you to go through my videos and find my video about Candace Owens. I want you to find my video about her. I had
okay. I'll do that. I'll do that. But all I'm saying is, when I saw the Joe Rogan video, it was so disappointing because, like I said, and it was in the context of the Whoopi thing happening maybe like a week before. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I was like, let me scroll through this brother's catalog and see his Whoopi Goldberg video. Whoopi Goldberg, stand on your 2 feet. You stand strong. You don't give it. And I didn't see it, bro. And I saw it for a freaking Joe Rogan, my guy, bro. Joe Rogan has enough.
I defended Larry Elder. Larry Elder's a black man.
Larry Elder is a black conservative that I used to listen to when I was younger, and I used to be like, bro, get this off the screen.
You gotta realize though, Whoopi Goldberg to me is somebody who says a lot of things that I think is harmful. Of course,
harmful.
Which I think is harmful. I think
like what
on that show she's on, The View, her and all her little buddies up there. They constantly attack conservatives. They constantly pedal to this whole racism woke ideology. They constantly do it.
Just give me examples. I don't want to hear that because I understand. I hear what you're saying. That's your point of view, but
okay. I'll give you an example. They basically tore Kyle Rittenhouse apart. Kyle Rittenhouse was the young white kid in Kenosha who ended up shooting those 3 white kids. Those white guys, one of them was a pedophile, and one was but the 3 white guys who were attacking him. Let's just put it like that. And he defended himself, and he was found not guilty. But they completely shred this man, called him a white supremacist, said that he was, doing like he crossed state line. They made up all these lies about him because they felt like he wasn't on their side. I'll give you another example. Jussie Smollett. You know Jussie Smollett? Smollett?
That's the cat that lied about the Trump thing or something like that with
Yeah, and they were on there like trying to make excuses for him and trying to like soften the blow of what he did. They were trying. We really wished for Jussie to be this, that, and that. If he was a conservative, they would have tore him a new one.
I understand. Oh, real quick. And I'm not saying that didn't happen. All I'm saying is if you can see when liberals do that then you have to be able to see that when conservatives do that same exact thing and even more. They do that with the guys from the the January 6th stuff. I mean, dog, that was insane what happened to January 6th.
Well, look,
and all I see, but I'm just saying.
You said conservatives never go after other conservatives. They were literally going after Mike Pence. And he was the vice president.
Bro, but look what you're saying. Listen to what you're saying. They went after Mike Pence, but they were going after Mike Pence for not doing something that he had no control over that Trump was saying that he could do. Like, stop. That's not good faith. That's not a good faith thing that you're doing right there because you acted as if they were on Mike Pence for doing the right thing. Did Mike Pence do the right thing or no?
I think Mike Pence did the right thing. He did the only thing.
He did the right thing, and they were talking about hang Mike Pence for doing the right thing. Not very conservative, if I should say so myself.
Mike Pence didn't have the power to do what they wanted him to do.
So he did not.
Yeah. So regardless, whether you think the election was stolen or not, he just didn't have the power to do anything.
He didn't have the power to do. But who said that he did?
Trump. And
so why were they going after Mike Pence now?
They were going after Mike Pence because they were following what Trump said, and they were
okay. So it's not like Mike Pence stood on some kind of a position that they just disagree with.
But they disagree with what he was doing. Okay, I'll give you another example. Recently, Ted Cruz came out and called the January 6 people. He called them, I believe the word was terrorists or something like that.
Terrorists or something like that.
Yeah. And there was a big debate amongst conservatives about whether we should call them terrorists or not. And there was a big debate amongst
There was no debate. There was no debate. What happened was Tucker Carlson got a piece of that, got that snippet, and tore him a new one. And he was on Tucker Carlson's show the next day on his hands and knees. Apologizing. So there was no debate.
That's the same thing that happened. That's the same thing that happened with Whoopi Goldberg. When she said something that people were outraged about, she had to apologize. So there are on both sides, there are going to be people who disagree with other people on their side. And I'll give you another example. Since the last two that I gave you wasn't good enough.
Wasn't solid. Go ahead, big dog. Hey, let's rock. Hey, let's rock, bro.
Well, we gotta wrap it up soon, though. We do.
All right. What time you want to let it? What time you want to fall out?
We should probably fall out the next few minutes. Honestly, I gotta eat dinner.
All right. Well, let's make these last few minutes live. Go ahead.
Yeah. But I'm
finna fly. Hey, listen, you my guy, but I'm about to flame you. So go ahead, talk to me.
I'll give you another example. Donald Trump was coming out and he was saying that people should get vaccinated and things like that. And they booed him while he was talking about it on stage.
After he spent his presidency basically being anti-vax.
But you
bro, come on, bro. Stop it, bro.
You said conservatives never disagree with other conservatives. And I'm giving you example after example.
No. I didn't say that they don't disagree. I'm just saying that like on these shows, they don't highlight stuff like they won't make a segment like the Young Turks went after Whoopi Goldberg. The Young Turks go after a lot of people on the left. And I'm not limited to the Young Turks because the other left-leaning people do that all the time. Kyle Kalinske, Sam Cedar. I see this stuff. And they attack.
There was a whole debate between Meghan McCain and Candace Owens. They were literally going at it on Twitter and on their shows, criticizing each other and about what they stood for.
Yeah, but those aren't platforms. Those are not people who
Candace Owens, Meghan McCain.
I don't know about Candace. Does Candace Owens have like a show that she does like on YouTube or something like that?
Yeah, she has a show on the Daily Wire. It's like behind a paywall, but she has
but the thing about Candace Owens, she's so outrageous, bro. Like it's so hard for me to take that as I'm talking about serious people who deliver. I'm talking about serious people who deliver the news.
Okay, all right. You talking about the news because The View is not the news, and the Young Turks is not news. Those are not news networks.
So what do you call Young Turks if they don't speak on current events and news and newsworthy events that are happening? What do you call it?
Their opinion shows. That's what they do. They give you their opinions about.
Okay, I get it, but when I say news, I just mean like current events that are happening.
That's about major platforms. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll give you another example.
Come on, bro. Keep pulling them out, bro. I find them. Give me a good one.
Okay. Do you know who Dan Crenshaw is?
Is that the guy with the patch on his eye?
Yeah, he's the guy with the eye patch. He has a platform. He has a podcast, and he has many different people on to talk about big issues and stuff like that. And he criticizes a lot of things that conservatives do all the time that he wished that they would stop doing. And he'll call out certain behaviors. He was like, "This is why we shouldn't behave like this because we're justifying this." Like he does those types of things. We criticize each other all the time and what we agree on and disagree with. I mean,
okay,
yeah. But it's crazy because like,
have you seen a conservative criticize Joe Rogan for the Planet of the Apes comment?
No,
you have not.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Today was the first time I heard about the Planet of the Apes from you. I don't even know about the whole Planet of the Apes thing.
What?
Yeah, I don't even know which one you're referring to. I haven't heard of it. See there.
Okay, and that's kind of a problem in itself because the news and all this other stuff highlighted the N-word stuff. Along that same video, there was he had I'm gonna let you see it for yourself. I'm not gonna explain it to you, but he basically said he went to a movie theater in a black neighborhood, and he said he went to go see Planet of the Apes, but when he went to the movie theater that was all black, he walked into Planet of the Apes like in Africa.
You know, Joe Rogan is a comedian, though, right?
Joe Rogan is a comedian, and I'm cool with that. Like I said before, I understand people have jokes, and everybody is subjected to getting the jokes, right? I understand that, but the historical context of black people being apes and monkeys and stuff like that.
You know, Joe Rogan isn't even conservative at all. Joe Rogan is more of a.
I know that Joe Rogan has historically leaned left. I don't know what his. I can't say that he is.
Even if they criticize that, they wouldn't be criticizing conservatives in your book either. They wouldn't be
criticizing.
What do you mean? Their own, because Joe Rogan isn't a conservative. That wouldn't count as an example for you either. Because that even if conservatives went after him, that wouldn't include an example of conservatives going after a conservative.
I'm not. That wasn't supposed to be an example of that. That was just That was just an example of conservatives glossing over certain things, right? There are certain things that are glossed over intentionally, that in bad faith, that conservatives do all the time, that drives me insane and leads me to not want to ever talk to them because they don't operate in good faith.
And you believe that you look at the left in that same, you look at them with the same standard. You judge them by
without
the same
question.
Standard, right?
Even you can be a conservative right now. You can go on TYT and they'll talk to you and listen to you and hear you out. Y'all have great conversations. And I'm sure you probably have great conversations with conservatives too, but the difference is with the conversations you have with conservatives will be great because y'all will be agreeing on a bunch of nonsense. And the difference is when you have great conservatives there because you'll be disagreeing, but disagreeing in a logical and sensible way.
No, I've seen the Young Turks and the amount of gaslighting and illogical fallacies that these people create over there is beyond me. I can't even do videos on them no more because it's just, I can't believe the Young Turks is even a real thing. I can't believe people actually watch that. That's how bad the Young Turks are to me.
Yeah, they've gotten pretty
out there. They
interesting over the years, right? But I'm gonna be honest with you. That's what brought me into a lot of political consciousness. You know, that's kind of how I came into the game because they were young. They talk kind of how I talked at the time. I don't really keep in touch with it now, but that's what kind of brought me into a lot of stuff and kind of opened my eyes and ears to what I watch and listen to. You know what I'm saying? Not that I agree with everything over there, because I can see somebody right now, he's a Young Turk supporter, blah, blah, blah. But that's what brought me into it,
It is what it is, It is what it is.
But I don't like to blanketly, I don't like to well, I'm gonna leave that alone, bro, because that's a whole different conversation.
We should set up another conversation somewhere down the line. We can have more conversation because, look, I'm not here to defend conservatives. I'm a conservative, and that says nothing about any other conservative. But also, like I wouldn't judge a liberal based on what I think other liberals do. I'm gonna just deal with what they mean when they say liberal and how they carry and conduct themselves. Now, I don't think you consider yourself to be liberal or conservative or anything. I think you more so like these are the ideas and these are the things that I believe in, but I don't think you label yourself from what you said earlier. So this is not a liberal versus conservative thing right now.
No.
And I appreciate that. And there's so much more to talk about and touch on. And because of time limitation, but I think this was a great start. And I think everybody, if you take anything away from this conversation, it's about being able to disagree and have reasonable discussions with people so do this with your family and your friends and people that disagree with you. Have conversations. Don't insult people, even though my Mr. Luke over here has said I be talking about foolish stuff all the time. He just said that about 3-4
I
times.
say, I ain't say foolish, nonsensical.
Nonsensical. He just said that a couple times during this conversation. I ain't take no offense though. I don't take no offense.
Listen, I'm being tame, bro. I'm being very tame because this is my first time really on a platform. I've never done this before. I've never talked publicly to nobody. I've never come on nobody's platform to ever speak before. So I'm very tame. But I can get down, bro. But I'm being cool, laid back, But the larger point is, I do appreciate you allowing me to come and holler at you about this topic. Also, like I said before, I hope that 10 years down the line, you look at that Joe Rogan video and be ashamed of yourself. And also, in the next week or so, I'd like for you to put out a Whoopi Goldberg video telling her not to back down and not to listen to, the haters and blah, 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 and not to be canceled. Just think about it, bro. Put out one for Whoopi, man.
Whoopi was never going to be canceled. I knew that from the start.
But she was punished.
They suspended her, and they took down like 78 episodes of Joe Rogan. Now they have to put like warning messages before his own podcast. He was
is that punishment?
I mean, she was.
Hold on. Which one is worse? Putting up a warning message or losing money?
They took down 78 of his episodes, and I might be give or take on the numbers, but they took down a lot of his episodes. That's money. That's episodes that people can't go watch. That's viewership that he can't get anymore.
Yeah, but but would you say he's gained a lot of viewership now with the whole controversy and a lot of support and all of that?
No, I don't think so. Spotify just lost millions.
Bro, stop it.
Yeah,
stop it.
Spotify just lost a bunch of money. You got to.
I ain't talking about Spotify. I'm talking about Joe Rogan himself.
People unsubscribe to Spotify, which hurts the platform which Joe Rogan is hosted on. And
people unsubscribed to Spotify before the controversy of the N-word, quote unquote controversy. That was about the other stuff, the COVID stuff. So
it could have been because like Neil Young and all of those people pulled out, so people probably left because of that. But Joe Rogan came out, he apologized and things like that. Whoopi Goldberg apologized and stuff like that. Look, I'm not against Whoopi Goldberg or anything like that. When I had that conversation about Whoopi Goldberg, I brought on a Jewish guy who I wanted to hear his opinion on about Jews being white or whatever the case may be. And I was having it through the whole Whoopi Goldberg context. I never was mad at Whoopi Goldberg. I think she misspoke, and it's understandable. She shouldn't have been canceled. She shouldn't have been her. And I'll say that here right now. I don't believe in counseling people. I do.
That's all I'm saying is say that with the same energy, or even not even the same energy, but just a level of energy. Put that out there as well. You know what I'm saying? Balance it out a little bit, because when I go through your stuff, it's all kind of geared in one direction. It becomes like a shtick, and it becomes fake and phony to me. When I'm talking to you right now, and even before talking to you, I can listen to you and see that you're more intelligent than just to be to come off as so one-sided. You know what I'm saying? Because you're more well-rounded than that, and I can hear that from you, and I know that that's the case, bro. So put it out there. You don't have to try to appease or lean towards one group of people, because man, people gonna love you one day when you say one thing, and they gonna hate you the next when you say something else. Either way, it don't matter. But you have an ability to see things from different perspectives and allow people to talk to you. So man, use that to your advantage, bro. That's all I'm saying, bro.
I hear what you're saying, but I really think you should go through my catalog of videos and you'll realize I've been doing that, bro. Like like I said, go check out my video about Candace Owens. I was on another podcast the other night, and the candy shop, they asked me about Candace Owens. I gave my honest opinion about her. I've criticized Trump. I criticized Donald Trump. I criticized January 6th and what took place on that. I have videos specifically designed for those things. You just got to look for it. I guarantee if you look for it, you'll see it. Now,
but the fact that I would have to look for it to even see it, but compared to the fact that what I can look and see now is so one-sided, that says enough right there in itself, bro. And I get what you're saying. You may say things about different topics or whatever, but the highlight of what you do is definitely geared in one direction.
Yes, because I'm a conservative. I happen to agree more with conservatism than I do with liberalism. It's only natural for example, you probably criticize conservatives more than you did liberals on this show right here, right now.
100%.
But I wouldn't judge you and say you don't have any criticism or you're being unfair to being unfair to conservatives. No,
yeah, but you can't compare our discussion to a platform that's been, a platform that is purposely put together in a certain way to be a certain way and look a certain way come on, bro. This is just a conversation. Now, if I had a platform, I guarantee you would have looked. I'm not comparing what I should do to what you should. I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying if I had a platform, it'd be more of a comparison, and you could see how I would be. Because, bro, anybody can get it, bro. Anybody can get it. And like I told you, the conversation about rap music and all that stuff, man, you will learn quick that, white people call me racist, black people call me a coon, bro. And it's no win. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's so emotional. But I have opinions on both sides of the issue that are not just part of the team talk. So that's all I'm saying, bro. And like you and that's you too. I see it in you, bro. You are very you are very knowledgeable, and you may lean a certain way, but that ain't all you are. And I don't want you to come off as that just being all that you are. Excuse me.
I would try my best to be more even-handed. And the reason that I say that is because, yes, most of the content that comes across my way that people ask me to give my thoughts and reactions on is because that's what they want me to talk about. I don't have I have liberals who listen to my show who I talk to on a regular basis. And we have fun conversations sometimes in Discord or sometimes on the phone. And they ask me to react to certain things. They ask me to give my thoughts on certain things. I just had a guy ask me to give my thoughts on something with Donald Trump that I got to look into. But yeah, it just so happened that there are more conservatives who ask me to give my thoughts on things. And
right.
That's what I give my thoughts on things when the content comes my way. And it just so happened because I'm a conservative, more people are asking me about things that conservatives care about.
I got you, brother. Well, hey, man, I appreciate it. I'm gonna check out more of the content, bro. I promise not to throw my phone. I promise not to. I promise not to be in the comments, going crazy.
It's all love, brother. It's all love, and I get you. It's all love. And look, I'm a small YouTuber. I don't have hundreds of thousands of subscribers.
You will though. You will. If you keep this shtick going about this conservative thing, I guarantee you're gonna blow. But don't blow up, bro. Under the guise of I'm this black guy who's criticizing black people. Because if you look in your comments, and I get it, bro, them your people, and that's your support system. I don't want to down them, but a lot of them people don't. Man, anyway, I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah, but I'll just say there are so many black people who are not conservatives, who love what I'm saying, who agree with what I'm saying. I get messages all the time of black people saying, "Man, you know what? You said something that I never thought about, and it changed the way I see things." Or you challenged me, and I've been trying to tell my brother this or tell my cousin this, and I just didn't know the words to put it in. And I'm just trying to give young people, especially young black people, the thing I never had. And that, I guess that's what my bias is. My bias is geared towards like, you are better, and I'm not finna give you excuses. So I'm finna come after you, and I'm finna hold your feet to the fire because I expect more from you. And I get it, bro. I don't ever want to blow up as the guy who just, all he does is tear down black people. No, I don't know if you saw my video, but I had a long debate with a white nationalist.
No, I haven't saw that.
That's the one you should check out. Me and a white nationalist went at it for like almost 3 hours, and we was arguing. I totally disagree with the whole racism, white nationalist thing. And look, I'm open to have discussions with anybody I disagree with, white, black, Hispanic, and I'm all about the conversation. But you're right. Most of my content is geared towards conservatives, whether they black, white, whatever. It's geared towards conservatism because that is my core audience. Those are the people who want to hear my thoughts. And I happen to align with most of their ideas. And maybe I should try more to criticize conservative things when I see something wrong.
Yeah, and it's not just about criticizing conservative things. It's just when it's even if you were to applaud some things that come from a liberal point of view that you may agree with, highlight it sometimes. That's all I'm saying, bro. If you, man, okay, you will be And I'm not saying this as far as just being a platform. I'm just saying just as far as a well-rounded human being, a better person, bro. If you highlight things like that, man, it shows that you are actually true to what you're saying as far as being open and approaching things on good faith, bro. That's all I'm saying, because everybody ain't right all the time, and the other people ain't always wrong all the time. And to never ever show the other side to your audience, I just think that that's a tragedy, bro, and it happens too much. And we don't have anybody with any kind of platforms that have the guts and the balls to actually do that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because everybody's want to try to cater to an audience because they want that audience to grow so they can get more money. And I get it. You know, everything always boils down to finances, but bro, if we are really in this to really make a change and really, you know, to really be better, bro, you know, have more people like me on, have more people with differing opinions on that y'all, and highlight those conversations. You know what I'm saying? Put them out there so people can see. It don't matter what the audience, you know, what they lean to. It's just about the conversation, bro. These type of conversations can open up other conversations that other people may want to have with other people that they disagree with. So that's all I'm saying, bro. Like I say, thank you for the time and the opportunity on the platform. Like I said, it's my first time ever doing anything like this. I was a little nervous, you know what I'm saying? But and I did not flame you the way that I was gonna flame you.
I appreciate it. You did good though. You did real good, man. And
tempo.
You know, take care, and I think we should touch bases on it again. Because like I said, yes, most of my content is mostly geared towards conservatives. I even had a podcast at one point with a liberal, and it was called Two Sides One Coin, and me and him was actually looking at the same issues, and we were both giving our perspective on it and having conversations about it, and we were great friends. And we haven't been talking lately, but for the most part, it had nothing to do with that. But I've always been interested in talking to people I disagree with, and mostly it just so happened that, you know, it's hard to find a lot of liberals or people who disagree with me to actually want to get on camera. That's why.
Ain't that a shame? Ain't that a shame that that's the world that we've come to, man? It's so bad, bro. It's so bad, bro. Like, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to talk to a lot of people I disagree with, but I'm willing to. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I come in very biased. You know, I come in thinking that I'm not gonna leave this conversation disagreeing with my own thoughts, but I'm at least willing to hear you out. And like I said, if it's a good faith conversation, bro, I'm down 100% of the time. But if it ain't no good faith conversation, bro, then it ain't no point in talking. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no point in talking to people who think that the election was stolen when there's no proof of election fraud nowhere. You know, I don't have time to talk to people like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't have time for people's emotions and their lack of logic. So, brother. Yeah. I wish you well, man. Like I say, thank you for the conversation once again.
We're gonna talk again.
I wish the best for you, dog. But you know, get that Joe Rogan video, bro. You gotta come on, bro. Stop it, bro. That broke my heart, bro. It broke my heart, man. That broke my heart. It broke my heart. Man, and it really broke my heart. When I went in the comments and I seen all the people patting you on the back, giving you them attaboys, I was like, bro. Come on, man.
Man. I'm just trying to disempower the word, man. I'm trying everything I can to not let. There are black people who go to prison because somebody said something to them.
Absolutely.
I'm just trying to show people, like, yo, how people treat you and how, like, that's what matters. How people, like, don't let people get you out of your spot. You know what I'm saying? There are people who so triggered by words that they'll risk their life, their family, their friends, just to prove that. Well, we can talk about that another time. Just thank you so much for standing up and giving your 2 cents and us having a good faith conversation. And look, I'm much more willing to have another conversation with you at some point. And I'll do my best to bring on other voices who disagree with me, and we can highlight these things and have good faith conversations.
Yeah, tenfold. Hey man, I saw a video that you had that you were talking to some more black conservatives. I was like, bro, if I could have been in there, I would have flamed every last one of the cats, man. Because bro, it's you have to have. You cannot be sitting around just a campfire when everybody's just rooting and cheering on what you say. You gotta have somebody in there that's willing to say, nah, I don't think so, cuz what you saying, bro? Listen,
that's what I did last night. The live stream I did.
Yeah.
Everybody on there wasn't a conservative. It was 4 black guys on there, and only 2 of us were conservatives.
I watched some of that. I watched some of that.
Yeah, and if you go back to my earliest videos, like when I first got started, me and my homeboy, Andre, he from California, and we would go back and forth about these issues, and we would have a good time doing it. Like I said,
beautiful. That's what it's about.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm gonna try to do better though. I get that there needs to be much more of this than less. I get what you're saying, and this is an invitation for anybody watching this who disagree with me, who have good faith arguments and want to actually hash these things out. You're more than welcome, and if I'll do my best to get to as many.
Yeah, talk to Javier. He's open. He's willing to talk. He's willing to have a discussion. You might not agree on everything, but he'll listen. He'll hear you out. He ain't just gonna shut you down and close you off or cancel you, or like even me. Like just in the comment section, you could have just easily like blocked me, like a lot of people would do, and that would just be that. But you didn't do that. You open the doors, and like I say, bro, it's very. I appreciate that. And I respect you for that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So. That's what it is, fam. Hey, man, have a good night. Salute to all the people who are part of the Hobby Lobby that's in the audience, that's watching. You know, you might not like what I say. You might disagree with what I say. You might agree. You might love what I say. It don't matter. We just having these conversations with me and this brother here, and we just trying to build and bond. And that's just what it's about. We ain't trying to impress the audience and nothing like that. So whether you agree or disagree, it really don't matter. We just building here. You know what I'm saying? This is what we need to do as black people, as black men, and need to be more examples like this. And that's all I'm saying, bro. You just you keep it 100. I wish the best for you and your platform, bro.
Amen, brother. Amen. Thank you. Kudos to you, brother. Much power.
Salute.
Peace and glory, everybody. Be peaceful and be great. Till next time. We out.
1 in a million to 1 billion. Too hot to be in the kitchen. Out in the melting the ceiling.